Okay, there we go. So now we're recording. So go ahead and ask that question one more time.
Okay, I have a question that I've been pondering very much lately. It's how much is the world, our life, reflection of our inner state, meaning our feelings, emotions, thoughts, our focus, attention, and so on.
Anybody want to chime in on that one?
Everything.
Yeah, that's the as within, so without kind of hermetic principles.
And I think it goes both directions. The world is a reflection of your inner state, and your inner state creates what's around you. So there's that as within, so without. I mean, it just
But
is.
if you're a spiritual being and you're living by the rules of the divine, well, rules, you're trying to live that life, and there are these so I have to say it, robot. I'm putting it very black and white here, okay? But the robots of the system are doing the opposite. Then there is like a global consciousness, so it does send us in a direction that we wouldn't want to go, even if we are trying to be this divine energy and connected to the universal laws. So how does that affect us and the others? And do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, my only answer to that is you have free will choice on some things. Some things
On reactions.
Right? So your emotions, you have choice over. The human capacity to choose an emotion is interesting once you realize you can do it to any subject. You can choose your emotional state. You can choose how you choose to look at something, right? How you perceive something. You actually have a choice in that matter, but it is a choice that you have to realize in order to activate it. So if the consciousness of the globe, if everybody's focusing, focus comes into this too, right? Whatever you're focusing on.
Yes.
So if the state of the globe is such that most people, which is why they do what they do, they being the powers that be, keep everybody in fear, and everybody's focusing on whatever they think is causing the fear, that causes a shift in the global consciousness. But I still think the more people that sit in a state of neutrality or a state of peace, less people can alter the fear state faster than the fear state is altering us if we had enough people focusing on it.
I found
that's
that,
what I thought.
I found that doing shadow work is really useful in being able to understand and see that duality. That was super helpful just to get a different perspective on how I see the world and how
shadow work
myself. Sorry,
I missed part of that. Go ahead.
You said shadow work.
Yes, correct.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's really good work. It's not easy work, but it's good work. There's lots of books on it, and there's probably a ton of YouTube stuff, but I caution anybody to, unless you know the instructor or the person talking about it well and trust them, like just be careful where you get your information on YouTube. But there's a ton of books out there. Well, that's why I'm here, Christy.
But isn't shadow work working on yourself, working on that inner conflict in yourself? That's it, yeah.
Yeah, but what you see is that's just as we were talking about, that principle exists outside as it does within us, and when we can see that within ourselves, it's really kind of in your face when you start looking at society and the way people are as well.
Yes, of course.
So I'm going to give you a little bit different of a way to think about it, and because of the period of time we're in, shadow work comes from an old set of ideas, and not so old, right? Just yesterday. where it was necessary to do that and get the contrast so you could move forward. We're in a period of time right now where you do not necessarily need to do that kind of work in order to move yourself. It's literally as much as what you focus on, right? You'll start receiving the benefit of, whether it's a good or bad benefit, you receive that benefit. But on a different scale at this point, if you focus on the good inside of you and don't lose your focus, keep your focus on spirit, that's just going to grow and grow and grow. You're going to get more used to walking in that kind of a consciousness instead of moving in and out of.
That was my question last week to you. That's what I meant to ask. That was what I was asking last week. Instead of having to dissect ourselves like we've gone through the work that we've built up from all the programs, can we just like skip that now, you know, because it does seem to be like another energy. We're going forward into a different energy and it's going so fast. I mean, as you say, the focus is the most important thing.
Yeah, and I really think you can. There'll be other people tell you you can't, and don't skip that because you'll come back to it. I don't know that you will. I honestly think if you did a path of negation or something similar to that a few times, just to kind of unwind, loosen up the energy. I mean, there's many ways you can do that, just to kind of move it and wiggle yourself around in there a little bit. You'll find out really fast this human body, this physical meat suit that we're in, really isn't what we think it is. And that the more
I love that.
you walk inside your heart spirit, I was calling it earlier today, you walk inside that space of your heart, it is altering so fast right now. Everything, yes. The energies that are coming on, which is actually what we're going to do tonight, is reset some of the chakra energies to some of the new frequencies that are coming in. But we'll go through a full reset on it. Or encoding, or whatever you want to call it. But I think the focus, if you really put your intention in focusing on what it is you want instead of what you don't want, focus on the light. And this will give you another way to look at it tonight when we get through this. It'll give you hopefully a visual on it that you can actually start to see and gain more experience with. And, you know, in the past, that kind of stuff, you know, people talked about the ego death, and we had to go through the ego death, and we had to go through the dark night of the soul. And I've been saying for years, I have no interest in going through the dark night of the soul. I just don't see its necessity. But there's still people that preach it, and still people that are doing it, and still people that are making money on it, and still people that are. And I'm like, focus on your spirit and see, because that by itself, that energy is so much higher, it's going to take apart the other energies. But it's a matter of keeping your focus there.
If I may return to my original question, I'll put a scenario to maybe to ease the thing. For example, most people I meet in my life are quite tense. They're anxious. They feel on some level that things are going bad, that the system they believe is a lie, that that the world is going to change, and they fear the change. So there is much, how to say, well, this is say negative energy, but it's fear, anxiety, and so on. And then they project on other people that same fear, anxiety, and so on. In those situations, I try to remain calm. I try to remain positive. I try to lift their spirits if possible, if they accept it. But in most cases, I'm on defensive, to say so. I try not to get pulled in their negative states.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So, in my if I manage to remain calm during most of the day and keep my focus on the, so to say, positive things, will that change, how to say, my life on the visible level, to say so? Not just will people and events be more pleasant around me in that case?
Eventually, yes. I mean, they have to catch the wave and they have to get into the groove. Some people you will never change because it's not in them to change. Some people you can stay and remain in your state, and all of a sudden you'll see them really starting to mold themselves to come up to your level instead of you having to constantly meet them wherever they are. Or you have the two totally opposing sides. I'll use my son as an example. For years, we've been kind of back and forth with all kinds of stuff. He had all kinds of medical issues as a tot, and just he's had a bad's not a good word for it, but he's had a rough life. It's been really rough. And he's 30 years old now, and we're probably going on 10 years of he gets it a little bit. He's starting to comprehend and understand there's more to it than meets the eye. And maybe the last 2 of that, he's been more in alignment with trying to sort himself out and figure out what all this is. It started changing when I changed. It started being totally different the second I quit pandering into his nonsense. Right? When I realized that the level of control I had was only here, it was only this. But when this changed and my electromagnetic field changed, it starts to alter the world around you, right? And in a small area, it alters it faster, and he's usually right next to me. So it alters it as quick as, right? And it's the consistency. We always forget to talk about consistency. The focus is one thing, and if you focus and focus and focus and focus and focus, inconsistency will take you out of the ballpark. If you are consistently focusing, all of a sudden you'll start gaining momentum, and you won't even be able to defocus because your focus will be, right, you'll grind into it. But it'll start to change things around you. It'll change people around you. The ones that are, how would you say it? The ones that are kind of preemptively, that would be willing to change. Some people are not willing to change. They just aren't. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to know. They love wallowing in their misery. And I don't know, at that point, you get to make other decisions. Okay. Are we ready to start? What do we think? Did that help? Did that?
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. Let me read through the comments here real quick. Sue says, if you create the need and want to go through shadow work, you can. It's a good one. You do. You create the need and want to do it. But for those who want to go straight to freedom, you can do that too. And that's exactly what we were stating. Very nice. Different for everyone. I'm in the second group. Yes, you are. Love you dearly. And Shamina just yelled the sacred no for some reason. We'll do the sacred no next week. It's hysterical. Oh, good Lord. Okay, sacred no. We'll talk about that next week. Today, what we are doing is pulling in the new multidimensional patterns from a state of color, but it also contains the tone and frequency and the sacred geometry that goes along with all this stuff. And as we go through this, you'll start to feel it and catch it and hopefully see it. But wanting to encode those into our biofields, our electromagnetic fields, in order to keep raising our consciousness, right? That's kind of the whole gist of this. But to be able to move, people say it's a dimensional thing. I don't honestly know for sure, but I know whatever's changing in me as it changes, as all of this is changing, almost every day I'm just not the same person. And I just find it really interesting and curious. So if it's a dimensional shift, we're upgrading our code, our body code, our bioelectronic, our electromagnetic, good night, biofield. We're upgrading that with the system of upgrades that are occurring because of what Lance had asked about before. And we were talking about the bodies in heaven moving and aligning and all the stuff that's changing because of it. It's all part of a cycle. And that cycle that's coming back around right now is going to be huge changes. And if you allow yourself to change with it, I don't want to say it's going to be easier, but I think it'll be easier. And whatever shows up, you're going to be better equipped to handle it because you are electromagnetically able to and spiritually inclined to, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, I don't want to hear about it. So what we're playing with today, I'm glad you laughed at that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was funny. I want to be electromagnetic, okay?
You are. You are electromagnetic. Everybody is.
Yeah, I know, but I want to be more.
We're going to feel it, hopefully, by the end of this one. So we're going to use breath to walk. Go ahead.
Sorry, I coughed. I have to put myself on mute, huh?
Yep. Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead and mute yourselves. That's a good idea.
I don't know how to do it, actually. Hang on. I don't know how to do it. Oh.
You have, if you're on the phone, you have a
she got
icon
it.
like
Yeah, no.
speaker.
Yep.
The moment. This is very strange. Oh, hang on. Oh, no.
You had it there for a second.
Oh, yeah, I've got it.
Amazing. Okay, very good. All right. Let me close this down. Cool. Okay. So what we are looking at is basically the 7 chakras that we always work with, but more of them as we go through time. You're going to have more big chakras opening up in your system. I was hearing today from a lady that thinks it's going to be a lot of spinal chakras opening, but I mean, who knows? The light is pervasive through you anyway, so no matter how you look at that, you're gonna get these upgrades, and that's what we're looking for. We're going to use breath, so we're going to be inhaling pure source oxygen, which comes with the energy. You can't separate it, so it's all one piece. Then we're going to be assimilating the pure source oxygen through the breath work that we're going to do. And I'll walk you through that in just a second. Then we're going to expand to the pure source oxygen. And then we are going to project through the pure source oxygen. This is like a nursery rhyme all of a sudden. As we do all of that work, I'm going to have you start to focus into some of the different chakras. And I'm going to give you a description of this beforehand, just so you can start to see it in your own mind's eye. The way I have been shown chakra work in this new age is that the chakras, the way we used to talk about them, it was like a funnel or a cone coming out the front, and some people would say out of the back. It was like a vortex of energy that was moving. What I understand it to be now is, and you can pick any chakra, there's a vortex coming out the front and the back, absolutely. One is spinning clockwise, the one usually coming out of the front is spinning clockwise, and the one going out of the back spins counterclockwise. So they're counter rotating to each other. Those funnels go out, they get bigger, right? It projects as it goes out. As they come in, it comes into a smaller space. As the energy moves into these spinning vortexes, which are in the center of your body, maybe right along the inside of your spine, is where that center point hits. The energy itself starts to, as it counter rotates into each other, it's almost like an explosion of energy. I don't really know how to explain it. If a person is talking about plasma, when the plasma starts moving so fast, all the parts separate. So all the different little atoms and the internal workings of the atoms come apart and are separate from each other. And the energy from that by itself is immense. We can produce way more energy than we have any idea of. If you're talking about it from a molecular or like subatomic particle kind of idea, it still seems to be the same idea. The electron is the one that they single out. The electron separates from everything else, and that electron just keeps moving faster and faster, and everything else just kind of disappears. And the energy that it generates is what you have to start to pay attention to and really feel. So that's what we're looking for. So I want you to, let's use one of the lower chakras, one of the gut chakras. Like put your awareness at the sacral chakra. So this is kind of belly button level. Go backwards towards your spine. I want you to move your awareness straight into your sacral chakra. Notice if you can sense.
Can I ask something? The sacred, it's like from the first chakra to the seventh. Which number is that? The sacred, is it the third one or the second one?
2. Yes,
Number 2. Thank you.
that belly button, a little bit below. So put your awareness right inside the very center. So where the 2 fields come together. So this is called a torsion field. Counter rotating. See if you can get your awareness right in the center of that field. You might feel your heart rate change. You might feel your temperature change. You might feel your emotional state change. Just notice, just be aware. But that's what we're looking for. So when I tell you to go into the center of the field, that's what I'm talking about, is pulling your awareness into the center of that field. And if it's hard for you to do, just be gentle with yourself. As we go through this, it might get easier and easier and easier. We are going to work through the rainbow body of light. And I'm going to kind of give you my whole idea of that. And then we're going to give that information to all the chakras and just let it do what it does. And then we're going to bring in these new spectrum colors that I have been noticing. And my spirit was like, pay particular attention, because this is some of the stuff, these frequencies are what is going to pull you into this new multi-dimensional shift and create the patterns of sacred geometry in your field that you need to make the transition. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is go into heart coherence. So we're going to take the 3 regular breaths, the big inhale, the nice long deep exhale. As you inhale, pulling oxygen and energy up through your system, and as you exhale, just let it move and circulate back down around your system. We're doing 3 of those. Another big inhale. Nice, long, slow exhale. Feel the energy moving down around your system. When you're ready, one more inhale. And then that last exhale, bring your hands over your heart space. Move your awareness inside your heart. Find a nice pace with your breath. Slow your breathing. Allow your body to relax. Keep your awareness inside your heart space. Really focus on your awareness. Focus into that awareness inside the space. Allow your heart to open up. You may already feel it. With gratitude, for peace, sense of calmness, for joy. I want you to start letting go of your body. We're going to go systematically from the toes to the head. If you're not laying down, and you can, go ahead. If you can't, just get yourself comfortable. Starting with your toes, I want you to relax all the muscles in your toes. Just let them go. Coming up your feet, letting your feet relax. almost to the point that they disappear. Through your heels. Let your heels relax. Up the back of your calf and the front of your leg. As you're coming up, just letting those relax so much that they almost feel like they're not there. To your knees. Letting all those muscles relax. Up the front of your thigh, and the back of your thigh. Allowing those muscles to relax. Almost to the point that you can't even tell they're there. And your feet may be gone at this point. So as we keep working our way up, you'll notice that more and more of the body seems to just kind of float away. And we're just letting it go. Come up into your hips. Just releasing inside the hip capsule. Letting those areas totally come into a sense of peace. From the front of your body all the way back. Letting your hip joints relax, all the muscles around it. And coming up into your lower back. Releasing the joints at your lower spine. Through every organ in your abdomen, all the way to the front of your belly. Release any tension, just let it go. Up into the top of your abdomen. Releasing all of the tension of the organs and the tissue, the muscles and the skin. Coming up around the rib cage, moving further up the spine, releasing all the tension and the tension of the organs and the tissue that holds the organs in place. Releasing the rib cage, moving up under the armpits into the higher thoracic body. Release between your shoulder blades, across the front of your chest and into the shoulder capsules. And almost until it's like it's not even there. And if you look down towards your lower body, you might be able to see it, but you probably won't be able to really feel it. That's what we're looking for. And it can take some time to get there, but once you do, this is a very valuable way to let your body relax. We're coming back up to the shoulders and now moving into the upper arms. Relax your bicep, relax the bone, all the tissue in the arm, into the elbow, down through the forearm and into your hands, all the way to your fingertips. And any negative energy that needs to move, we can allow that to move out of the fingertips. You might notice that. Just letting go, letting the body relax. Coming back up to the top of the shoulders, moving up into the neck. We're allowing the throat to relax, the spinal column as it comes up into the back of your head. Through your face, your jaws, your cheekbones, all the muscle and surrounding tissue behind your eyes, your eyes themselves, the nerves that run into the brain and your brain, allowing it to relax. You let go of the tissue of the brain. All the way through the top of your head, the muscles of your skull. Just let go of everything. Let it relax. And as the body relaxes, we're going to allow the body to breathe. And as you inhale, you allow your body to inhale. And I will say this for you. It's going to be a 4 count. So I'll say this for you. And every time I change the phrase, we're going to change where we're moving the oxygen. But on the inhale, it's going to be inhaling up through the body. The next phrase will be assimilating, and we're going to be holding the breath there. The exhale will be expanding, and that'll be 4 seconds there, and then it'll be 4 seconds on projecting, and we're going to do that breath 7 times. So allowing the internal body to move this source oxygen and create energy within. And then we'll move on to the rainbow work. So as you inhale, so begin your first inhale. I am inhaling pure source oxygen. And then hold for 4 seconds. I am assimilating pure source oxygen. And now on your exhale, I am expanding pure source oxygen. And hold at the bottom for 4 seconds. I am projecting pure source oxygen. Inhaling, I am inhaling pure source oxygen. Hold, I am assimilating pure source oxygen. Exhale, I am expanding pure source oxygen. And hold, I am projecting pure source oxygen. I am inhaling pure source oxygen. And hold, I am assimilating pure source oxygen. And exhale, I am expanding pure source oxygen. And hold, I am projecting pure source oxygen. I am inhaling pure source oxygen. I am assimilating pure source oxygen. I am expanding pure source oxygen. I am projecting pure source oxygen. I am inhaling pure source oxygen. I am assimilating pure source oxygen. I am expanding pure source oxygen. I am projecting pure source oxygen. I am inhaling pure source oxygen. I am assimilating pure source oxygen. I am expanding pure source oxygen. I am projecting pure source oxygen. Now coming back to your regular breath, we are breathing in these frequencies into our chakras to motivate increased capacity in this new multi-dimensional world for the patterns that are changing, the information that is changing, for our nervous system, our circulatory system, our respiratory, our digestion, all of the organs and glands, all of your bony structure, and all through the electromagnetic field. And as you breathe, I want you to start to sense the rainbow field that seems to operate this whole thing. starting with the color red, which would typically be at your root. Noticing all of the hues of the color of red that you can imagine, going from the darkest to the lightest, or the lightest to the darkest, every hue of red that you can possibly see. And then I want you to realize that there are hues of color that you can't see. And we're just going to allow those hues of color, those hues of red, to fit into their place. And I want you just to notice that field of energy and all of the hues of color of red. Then I want you to recognize that every one of those hues of color, seen and unseen, come with a tone. They have their very own specific tone that relates to that hue. If you can, I want you to pick out a hue of the color red, put your awareness on it, all of your attention to it. And I want you to notice if you can hear that tone. Let your imagination run wild. And while focusing on that tone, notice if you start to see or perceive a geometry to it, a specific geometry that comes with that hue and that tone. And then bring your awareness back out. And again, just looking through the whole spectrum of color of red, seen and unseen, knowing that there's tones that go with each hue of color, heard and unheard, and that there's geometry that goes with each of those, known and unknown. And just be aware, pay attention. And then if you look, you'll notice that with the hues of red, if you keep following the trail, will start turning into hues of orange. So allow your awareness to wander up the scale into the hues of orange. All of the hues of orange. We're typically told that that goes with the sacral chakra. But it's not just one color orange, it's all of the different hues. So just put your awareness to those hues, recognizing that there's seen and unseen. There's heard and unheard tones that go with each hue. And there's sacred geometry that goes with each of those. And then I want you to look back through all of the hues of orange. You can pick one out if you want, single it out and see if you can pay attention to its tone. And then looking all the way back down through the field of reds. And as you look back up through the spectrum, reds and oranges, you'll notice that at the top it starts to move into ranges of yellow. All the hues of yellow. And yellow is typically related to the solar plexus. So all of these hues of yellow running through the system. Seen and unseen, heard and unheard. The tones that go with it, the known and unknown, the sacred geometry that go with each of those. And just putting your awareness on all of those hues and tones and sacred geometry by itself, notice what your lower body feels like. The strength running through the system. I want you to take a nice inhale. As you breathe up, past the yellows, you'll notice that it starts to turn into hues of green. This is typically related to the heart chakra. But it's not just one color of green, it's all the hues of green. Hues of green that you've never seen. hues of green that you have seen, hues of green that are unseeable to the human eye. Each of those hues, seen and unseen, have tones, some that the human ear can't hear, heard and unheard. And then the sacred geometry. There's sacred geometry we seem to know about and understand and can put sense to, but there's also geometry that we have no idea about. And it's all in this spectrum, it's all here. It plays out in this cosmic orientation of this rainbow field. So from the reds, through the oranges and the yellows, through the greens, we come into the hues of blue. And blue is typically related to the throat chakra. So all of the hues of blue, I want you to try and look at them. Can you see this huge spectrum of blue opening up to you? The seen and the unseen, each having its own specific tone. Those tones, some have been heard and some haven't, and each of those having sacred geometry. And collectively, all of this works together to create your biomagnetic, your electromagnetic field. If we go past the throat, moving up the range through the hues of blue, we come into the hues between blue and purple, the indigo colors that are said to be the colors of the third eye. And I want you to notice all the different hues that are ranging from the blues moving up the spectrum towards and past the third eye, all of the beautiful hues of indigo. Seen and unseen, try and pay attention to the tones, heard and unheard, and then all of the sacred geometry that comes with it, known and unknown. If we stop for a second, look back down through the rainbow, through the system, can you allow your imagination to just let go and see this whole spectrum of color? And as you take a breath in, we're going to move out of the range of indigo and into the ranges of purples or violets. All of the hues, seen and unseen. All of the tones, heard and unheard. And all of the sacred geometry. And again, go ahead and single a hue of violet out. Single out a hue of purple. Put your awareness on it and notice it. Be there with it. Moving past the ranges of purple, we're going to come into kind of a pearl-esque place where there's a chakra sitting above the head. And moving from the ranges of purple or of violet up into this pearl, about 2 feet above your head. I just want you to notice the ranges of color through this pearl. Luminescent, opaque. Some are solid. Just notice. And with every hue moving through that range, that spectrum of light we call color, each has a tone and a quality and sacred geometry that's far beyond anything that we've ever imagined. And if you place that rainbow spectrum of color from the pearls all the way down through the root chakra to the reds, can you stand and look at how it fits over your body? And what we've typically been taught is that each color rests in the space of each chakra. Moving into this new multi-dimensional space that we're in, what I was shown, what I've seen, what I've experienced, is that all of these colors work together to perform a function. They're not separate from each other. They all work together as an overtone and overhue, as a totality of sacred geometry. So I want you to put your focus, and we'll start at the root chakra. Put your focus in the center of those two fields. We talked about that earlier. Put your focus right in the center. And at first, I want you to allow yourself to see all the spectrums of red. So the front is rotating clockwise, the back is counter-rotating. It's rotating counterclockwise. Put your focus right in the center of that field. Notice if you can allow the colors of red all to float through there. And then allow the whole rainbow to get caught up in that one chakra. The power of all of the hues and all of the tones and all of the sacred geometry. Allow whatever you can allow. We'll let the cosmic energy and source help motivate that and move that in your system. Then we're going to move our awareness, let that keep going, and move your awareness up to the sacral chakra. So that's number 2. Behind the belly button. Some say it's a little bit down, an inch down, but you'll feel it. Move your awareness into that space. Find the space where there's the most energy, the counter rotation, where it comes together and then it gets still, and the power that's in that stillness. Typically that's orange, is what they've told us in the past, but I want you to allow the whole spectrum of color and tones and sacred geometry to move into the space and then counter rotate back out into your electromagnetic field. Notice what it feels like. Notice what it feels like. Take a deep breath if you need to. We're going to move up to the solar plexus, right up underneath the rib cage. Put all of your awareness in the center of that torsion field. Counter rotating out the front clockwise, or rotating out the front clockwise, and then counter rotating out the back counterclockwise. And your awareness centers in the balance between those two fields. Notice first of all what it feels like. Typically they tell us this is yellow, but allow all of the colors of the rainbow, all of the hues, the tones, the sacred geometry to rotate through this torsion field at your solar plexus. Breathe into it. Inhale and exhale into that field. And then look down through the system and see if you can still see the others moving. Just by placing your awareness on it, you should be able to notice it. And then we come up to the heart and do the same, putting your awareness in the center of that torsion field. The energy coming clockwise through the front and counterclockwise through the back, and your attention is right in the center of those two fields. And then allowing the rainbow color. See if you can put your awareness on it. You'll see the spinning motion. They don't blend. They still stay their separate colors. The hues and the tones, the sacred geometry still has its own qualities. but you'll see them start to counter rotate and rotate out of your body, pushing information into your electromagnetic field. And then up into your throat. You're going to do the same thing, putting your attention and your awareness in the center of the field, the chakra of the throat. And then just noticing, try and see, try and feel, try and find that rainbow color moving through that system, through that torsion field. And then feel the power from the center of that torsion field. As the color and the quality of the tone and the quality of the sacred geometry move out from that space and create this new dimensional electromagnetic field. And then up into the third eye. Find the center. It's going to be right at your pineal gland. That's right. Right at your pineal gland, allowing the rainbow, the hues, the tones, and the sacred geometry to move through the field of your third eye. And then up through your crown, finding the center of that torsion field. And allowing the quality of all the hues, the tones, and the sacred geometry to move through that field just by putting your awareness on it. I don't know that you could stop this if you wanted to, honestly. And as you allow this, as you notice it, as you witness it, you recognize that it's creating the electromagnetic field around you. We're encoding all of this information into your biofield. From the center of these vortexes, these torsion fields, all the way out through your system. Just keep noticing, keep paying attention as all the chakras are active to the rainbow body of light. The cosmic frequencies in hues, tones, sacred geometry. This will awaken, activate, and elevate your multidimensional faculties. It will affect your thought and feeling, as well as all of your senses. And in this new, let's keep calling it dimensional world, in this new multidimensional world, the physical senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, also your intuition and your imagination will alter with this higher energy. And as you sit noticing and feeling that, if you're outside of your body watching, I want you to pat yourself on the back. Very nice. If you're inside watching, again, pat yourself on the back. Very nice. But if you're inside, I want you to see if you can allow yourself to separate and come to the outside and look at your physical body. Because now we're going to pull in some of these newer frequencies, the newer, and they're not new in terms of words. You're going to know what I'm saying. But the frequency running through our body is going to be different than it has been before because of what these specifically are. The first one that we're going to pull in is actually a higher level of gold. So gold is a set of frequencies that create and make what is called a BG3 energy that we haven't typically heard talked about. But the color of gold as you know it, so visualize that first. And then I want you to see it as though it's a ray of light moving through every one of your chakras. So gold, as you can sense it, as you can understand it. And now to that gold, we're going to add violet. So the blending of the gold frequencies and the violet frequencies. And then I want you to see that as a ray of light moving into every chakra and starting to work with the rainbow colors. And now to that gold and violet, we're going to add ruby. Deep, deep, deep ruby color. And it's becoming its own frequency. The gold, the violet, and the ruby together become its own pattern. Has its own qualities in color, in tone, and in sacred geometry. And then I want you to look at your body and see that quality, see that tone and that color as a ray of light in every one of your chakras. It may be a disc that's shining light out. It may be literally a point of light or a ray of light, however you're seeing it. So all of these colors are upgrading and encoding us to this new earth, the higher dimensions, and these new bodies as we move through this space and time. And now one more time, I want you to take a look. This time we're looking for a deep emerald green. A deep emerald green. Let your imagination go, let it run wild. We're going to visualize that in every chakra. Just let it be there, moving through those points as a ray of light. Adding to the qualities of all the color that's already there. And then one more time, this time we're adding a sapphire blue. Sapphire blue. And as you inhale and exhale, I want you to put that sapphire blue in the center of every one of your chakras. And then just watch as the energy starts to move and create. Now you can pick a chakra and put your awareness back into the center of it. And just notice. Just notice. Encoding your system with this information for a new period of time, new dimension, the new earth, the new body. Then I want you to inhale and exhale to it. From the root all the way above the top of your head, inhale and exhale. Notice if you can feel every center point at the same time. You can put your awareness on one. Can you keep your awareness and feel all of them at the same time? And allow that power, allow that energy to move out into your electromagnetic field in the form of color, hue, and sacred geometry. Feel it, notice it. Become aware that it's something you are and not something you do. And as you inhale these patterns in and out of your body, I want you to come back to your body, feel yourself, feel your toes, feel your fingers, maybe press your hands down into your thighs, but don't let this feeling go. In order to become the new you, you have to become the new you. You cannot go back to feeling like you used to feel and be here. But I want you to find your feet, find your hands, find your brain. The litmus test is always the same. The litmus test is, how do you respond when you're in a situation? How do you act? How do you react? Who are you now? With this in place and practicing walking around in your human body on this earth, you have to remain as this. You can't go back, right? And this is the idea of having to go through your night of the soul, your dark night of the soul. Or if I do that, I have to go back into it. If I want to fight with my ego, I have to go back into the old ego. If I want to stay as this, I just keep my awareness on the light, on the energy. I just allow it to grow. I allow it to manifest bigger things. And each of the colors that they spoke of, the ruby gold, the violet gold, the dark emerald green, the sapphire blue, there's things that go with each of those. So next week we'll talk about that a little bit also. But if you're breathing, if you got yourself back into yourself, can you feel it? What does it feel like? Feel free to turn on your microphones. What did you sense? What did you see? What did you notice? Part of talking about it actually helps the system to accept it, right? So realize that part of engaging in it is being able to speak to what you just now did. So when I feel it, when I do this, and I do this at least once a week at this point, I'll just lay down and start watching and putting my awareness into the center of these different chakras and just watching. And I listen, right? I'm always listening. So sometimes spirit will tell me stuff, but I'm trying to hear the hues of the color. The more you exercise the senses that we have considered in the past our senses, the stronger they will get. We practice seeing, we practice hearing, we practice, what are the other ones? Touching, right? Feeling things. Can you feel energy around you? Can you feel density in energy when you come into it? Right? You'll taste things different, you'll experience things different, and it's noticing those differences. It's putting notice to it, putting awareness to it that will actually help seed this in and keep it there. I'm watching for a microphone to open up. Come on, y'all. What did you sense? What did you see? What did you notice?
Well, now when I opened my eyes and I laid on the floor to do the meditation. Now I do feel you chose the word very well. Density of some energy. I had a hard time visualizing colors and so on, but I did the whole thing.
Nice.
And I now when I sit it, I drink a little water. I was thirsty, and it well, it may be because I'm now probably still in alpha but everything does seem feel a bit different. I'm calm, relaxed. I do still feel energy as I move my hands through the air. I can feel it. I can feel space.
Ooh, nice.
How to s-
I would stay in alpha. I wouldn't leave it. I think it's one of the biggest lies of mankind that we live most of our lives in beta. But I think that's what fear does to a person is beta. Stay in alpha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rudolf
you know.
Steiner. Rudolf Steiner, if you know, when he created Waldorfian school for children, his main goal was to make sure that kids are as long as possible in alpha state, because that is creativity and so on. The whole modern society is how to keep you in beta, but not beta, but high beta.
Yep. I agree. Stay in alpha. And you can get there quick. Just roll your eyes up and breathe. You put your eyes up, your brain will start to move into beta or into alpha. Crazy interesting. How easy our bodies can do it. We just were never taught it.
Yes.
Suzanne says down here, I noticed each color as we infused each chakra with the full spectrum. The individual color held all the others, and the others expressed as that more specific chakra color in the explodey face. Oh, you're so funny. I would say too, if anybody had trouble, Phil just said he had trouble visualizing the colors or seeing the colors. You can practice that by seeing a color. So find something that has color to it. And I look at it and then I close my eyes. And instead of seeing, like typically on your eyelids, you'll see the shape and you'll see outlines. Try and see the color. Activate your pineal gland to spark that color. So I'll stare at the color. So this is a dark blue. I'll stare at the color and then I'll close my eyes and go into my center, the center of my brain, and I will work on seeing that color in my brain. Starts out through memory, but the mirror neurons will kick in and give you, right, and the little piezochromatic effect that your pineal gland can have will give you that color. But you do have to practice it because it got turned off, right? That was part of what got switched off in our system.
Well, I use tricks. I would visualize sapphires and rubies and all that things. It was easier that way to get to the color. Or when there was gold and violet, I would visualize more like rays or some. I couldn't visualize violet. It's kind of now funny, but I visualize with somewhat like toilet paper coming to each chakra. Sorry.
No, you're good. You'll start to see it all the time eventually. It gets interesting when you can see color all over the place. And not that's like, I don't know, colors just floating in the air sometimes. It's really bizarre. All right, anybody else? Suze, did I? Yep, there you go.
Okay, so this is really interesting. I just wanted to share this experience that I had once when I was working in the fabric store and with textiles and all that. And I went to the bigger warehouse where they have the huge fabric bolts on the big rolls, and everything was set in a colorway. In other words, they're all, one color to the next, like the color wheel, like you'll see the color wheel. What I noticed was it was the physical body, as I would walk up and down the rows and the color was changing, I felt it in my body. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, so I would come down the blue aisle and all of a sudden everything cooled off. And I'm like, what in the world? And so I would just suggest to anyone or, who's maybe wanting to get more deeper into the color changes and stuff, you could work with a color wheel and focus and go around the color wheel and see how your body's responding. But if you really want a immersion, see if you can find maybe a fabric store that's near you or something like that, and go walk through the fabric. Don't look at patterns and stuff. You're only just color. And as the color hits you, just keep walking. And it's a really interesting thing to do.
That's awesome. That's a good idea. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. And remember, there's colors that are seen and unseen. So there's some colors that are going to show up that you're not going to know what to do with because you've never experienced them before. You've never seen them, you've never felt them, but it all goes together. It's all part of one package. Anybody else want to share their experience? And if not, that's fine too. We are over time again. I always try and stay at an hour, but I'm never good at that. So nobody else has anything to say. We will go ahead and go. The goal is literally the same. Stay in this state and then notice what's different. Right? If it feels like it goes away, because sometimes people will be like, I can never maintain as high as we get it when we're doing a session or when we're in group doing something. The level of feeling, the way you experience it in your body will wax and wane. Right? It's going to get bigger and get less, and you're going to feel it going up and down. If it goes and you're like, I just can't even find it, go back to the center and focus in the center of those torsion fields. And notice it moving. Just pick one and then look through your system and see if you can see the rest of them doing the same thing. The expression of all of this in your system is going to equate to a lot of power, I think, moving forward. And it's going to be interesting, to say the least. But I think the functionality of having this information in your field is going to be crazy cool. And the differences I've already noticed just from doing this myself, it blows my mind, the stuff that I've seen happen and change. Like if I think something's going to turn out one way, and if I've already put it intention behind it into the field, the way my field is structured through the sacred geometry, tone, and color at this point, I don't know, I'm just baffled how fast things are happening and how easy it is. It's not even like, I don't even know. Fear just totally leaves you. You're welcome, Shamina. All right. Heart back to you. Thanks. All right, love
Good
you
night.
guys.
Good day. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right, we'll see y'all next week. We're going to work on the sacred now. I'll tell you about that. And then any other information that I end up getting about these colors and how they respond in our system, we'll go over that stuff too. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to email me or text me or whatever if you have my number. Say something if you have questions as we move through this, because some of this is getting pretty powerful. So, all right, we'll talk again soon. Love you guys.